Welcome back to our channel. Today, we bring you the inspiring and emotional life story of Keanu Reeves. From heartbreaks to Hollywood, his journey is filled with powerful lessons of resilience, kindness, and quiet strength. Stay with us till the end to truly understand how Keanu became one of the most loved actors in the world. Let's begin his story now. Chapter 1. A Quiet Beginning. Keanu's Early Life. Keanu Charles Reeves was born on September 2, 1964, in Beirut, Lebanon. Yes, not in America or Canada, but in the Middle East. His mother, Patricia, was an English costume designer and performer. His father, Samuel, was a Hawaiian geologist of Chinese, Portuguese, and Irish descent. This unique mix of cultures made Keanu's background very diverse, but it also made his childhood unstable. When Keanu was just 3 years old, his father left the family. Just like that, gone. Keanu never truly had a father figure in his life after that. His mother had to raise him and his younger sister almost entirely alone. She moved them from place to place, looking for better opportunities. They lived in Australia, New York, and finally settled in Toronto, Canada. For a young child, it was very difficult. He had to make new friends again and again. He didn't have a stable home, a stable school, or a stable life. But there was something different about Keanu from the very beginning. He was quiet, kind, and thoughtful. He didn't talk much, but he always listened. He loved stories, movies, and dreaming about different worlds. However, school was never easy for him. He struggled with reading and understanding words. Later, he would discover that he had dyslexia, a learning disorder that made reading difficult. Still, Keanu tried. He went to 4 different high schools in 5 years. He was also passionate about ice hockey. He was actually so good that his friends nicknamed him the Wall because he was an excellent goalkeeper. At one point, he even dreamed of playing hockey professionally. But life had other plans for him. As a teenager, Keanu began exploring acting. His mother's background in the entertainment industry introduced him to theater and film. He fell in love with storytelling, not just watching it, but being part of it. Acting became his way of expressing the emotions he couldn't say out loud. It gave him a voice. It gave him purpose. At just 15 years old, Keanu performed in his first play, Romeo and Juliet, and something magical happened. On stage, he wasn't a shy, broken kid anymore. He was strong. He was confident. He was someone else. And he loved it. So he made a bold decision. He would become an actor. He didn't know how, and he didn't have a clear path. But he knew that acting made him feel alive. It made him feel seen. By the age of 17, Keanu dropped out of school and started working hard to chase his dream. He took up small jobs, acted in theater, and appeared in commercials. Anything that helped him learn and grow. It wasn't easy. There were days he had no money, no food, and no idea what the future held. But he kept going, because deep inside, Keanu Reeves had a quiet strength, a fire that couldn't be seen, but could be felt in every role he played, every line he spoke, and every step he took toward his dream. And this was just the beginning. Chapter 2. Breaking into Hollywood. A dream begins now. Let's step into the next part of his life. The moment when Keanu decided to risk everything and chase his dream to become an actor in Hollywood. Keanu was just a teenager when he packed his bags and left Toronto. With a heart full of hope and a pocket almost empty, he moved to Los Angeles, the land of bright lights, red carpets, and endless auditions. It was the 1980s, and Hollywood was buzzing with opportunity. But Keanu wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't chasing money. He was chasing something deeper. A place where he could belong. A world where stories came alive. At first, nothing came easy. Keanu didn't have a famous name. He didn't have connections. And honestly, his unique, thoughtful energy didn't quite fit the Hollywood mold at the time. But he had something most actors didn't: authenticity. He wasn't trying to be someone else. He was just being Keanu, honest, grounded, and fully committed. His first few roles were small, guest spots on TV shows, minor parts in movies. But he gave each one his best. One of his early breakthroughs came with the movie River's Edge, 1986, where he played a troubled teenager in a dark and emotional drama. The critics noticed him. They said he was different, quiet, but powerful, raw, but magnetic. Then came 1989, the year that changed everything. Keanu landed a role that would make him a household name: Ted in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It was a silly, fun time travel comedy, but audiences loved it. Keanu's goofy, lovable performance became iconic. Suddenly, everyone knew his name. He was on posters, in interviews, and young fans everywhere wanted to be like Ted. But Keanu didn't let fame change him. Even as the world started to notice him, he stayed humble, soft-spoken, and a little shy. While other rising stars chased celebrity status, Keanu stayed focused on the craft of acting. He wanted to grow. He wanted to challenge himself. He started choosing more serious roles, ones that tested him emotionally and mentally. In movies like My Own Private Idaho, 1991, where he starred alongside River Phoenix, Keanu showed his depth as an actor. It wasn't about making people laugh anymore. It was about touching people's hearts. And he did. Keanu was building something powerful. A reputation not just as a movie star, but as an actor who cared deeply about his work. Hollywood began to respect him. Directors began to trust him. And fans began to see something special in him. He wasn't just another face on the screen. He was real. Then came the next big leap. A role that would push him into action films and show the world another side of Keanu Reeves. Chapter 3. The Rise of an Action Hero. It was the early 1990s. Hollywood was shifting. Audiences were falling in love with high-stakes action, fast cars, and intense drama. And Keanu? He was ready. In 1994, everything changed when he took on the role of Jack Traven in the blockbuster action film Speed, opposite Sandra Bullock. Imagine this: a bomb on a city bus. If the bus goes under 50 miles per hour, it will explode. It sounds like a crazy concept, right? But Keanu brought it to life. He wasn't the loud, muscle-bound action hero. He wasn't overly flashy. He was calm, focused, and intensely human. That's what made people fall in love with him all over again. Speed wasn't just a hit. It was a phenomenon. Audiences around the world were on the edge of their seats. Keanu Reeves was suddenly a certified action star. But what made it even more impressive? He did many of his own stunts. He trained hard, committed fully, and put himself in dangerous situations to make the film feel real. But Keanu didn't let success control his choices. When offered a massive paycheck for Speed 2, he turned it down. Yes, millions of dollars. Rejected. Why? Because he believed in doing work he respected. He chose instead to perform in Shakespeare's Hamlet on stage in Canada. That's right. While others chased blockbusters, Keanu chased truth. That's who Keanu was. An artist first, a celebrity second. In the late 90s, he continued experimenting. He took roles in romantic dramas like A Walk in the Clouds and supernatural thrillers like Devil's Advocate, acting alongside legends like Al Pacino. Each time, he showed a new side of himself. Each time, he grew. But the world had no idea what was coming next. In 1999, Keanu Reeves stepped into a role that would define his legacy. A role that would reshape science fiction, action cinema, and even philosophy itself. He became Neo in The Matrix. Directed by the visionary Wachowskis, The Matrix wasn't just a movie. It was a movement. A story about choice, illusion, control, and freedom. All wrapped in stunning action and groundbreaking visual effects. Keanu trained for months in martial arts, weapons, and wire work. He worked through pain, even when doctors discovered he had a damaged neck. He endured surgery, intense rehabilitation, and still returned to set to give his best. The film became a cultural revolution. Red pill or blue pill became a question that people asked everywhere. And Keanu? He became an icon. Cool, calm, wise, and mysterious. The perfect hero for a new generation. But behind the camera, Keanu remained the same. He rode the subway. He spoke politely to fans. He donated much of his earnings quietly, including giving millions from his Matrix salary to the special effects and makeup teams. Why? Because he believed they deserved it more. Fame didn't change Keanu. Not even the Matrix could make him arrogant. He continued to act, explore, and challenge himself, taking on roles in different genres, never boxed into just one identity. This chapter marked a turning point. Keanu was no longer just a rising star. He was a legend in the making. Chapter 4: Loss, Grief, and Quiet Strength. This is the part of his story many find the most heartbreaking and yet the most inspiring. In the late 1990s, Keanu fell in love with a woman named Jennifer Syme. She wasn't a celebrity. She wasn't chasing fame. She worked quietly in the film industry, and together, they found something special. Their love was quiet, sincere, and deeply meaningful. In 1999, Jennifer became pregnant. It was a time of joy. Keanu, who had always kept his personal life private, was now preparing to become a father. He was excited, nervous, hopeful. For a man who had experienced so many shifts in his childhood, the idea of creating a stable family filled his heart. But just weeks before their daughter was due to be born, tragedy struck. Their baby girl, Ava Archer Syme Reeves, was stillborn. The loss shattered both Keanu and Jennifer. What was meant to be the beginning of a new life turned into unimaginable grief. The relationship could not withstand the pain. They separated, though they still cared for each other deeply. But the heartbreak didn't stop there. Just a year and a half later, Jennifer Syme died in a tragic car accident. She was only 28 years old. Keanu was devastated. Imagine losing your daughter, and then losing the woman you loved. All while the cameras keep rolling. All while the media still chases you. All while you're expected to smile for the world. But Keanu didn't break down in public. He didn't scream for attention. He grieved quietly. He walked through the pain silently. When he was asked about loss in interviews, he would often pause, think carefully, and then speak from the soul. He once said, "Grief changes shape, but it never ends." In that one sentence, we see the heart of Keanu Reeves. He didn't try to escape sorrow. He didn't deny it. He accepted it, lived with it, and used it to deepen his understanding of life. He began to spend more time alone, not out of bitterness, but reflection. He would ride the subway, sit on park benches, donate quietly to children's hospitals. He started to understand what really mattered to him. Not money, not fame, but meaning. And yet, he continued to work. He completed the Matrix trilogy. He continued to train, to act, and to push himself, even when his heart was aching. Because for Keanu, his work was not just a career. It was a way to heal, to keep moving forward. He once said, "I don't want to flee from life. I know the beauty of it." That's the kind of man Keanu is. Someone who transforms pain into compassion, who chooses kindness in a world that often forgets it. This chapter reminds us that even our heroes have broken hearts. And yet, what makes them heroic is not how perfectly they live, but how deeply they love, how bravely they endure, and how quietly they rise again. Chapter 5. Reinvention. The Legend of John Wick. This chapter is about reinvention, the moment when Keanu Reeves became something the world hadn't seen before. The unstoppable legend. John Wick. It was 2014. Keanu was in his 50s now. Many in Hollywood thought his best years were behind him. He hadn't starred in a huge blockbuster for a while. His name didn't trend often. Directors weren't chasing him like before. But Keanu wasn't chasing fame. He was searching for the right story. Then came a script, a simple one at first glance. A retired assassin, a dog, a stolen car. But beneath the surface, it was deeper. A man broken by grief. A man trying to find peace in a violent world. A man whose silence said more than words ever could. The script was called John Wick. Keanu didn't just say yes. He poured his soul into the role. He trained for months, 8 hours a day. Gun training, martial arts, stunt choreography. He did 90% of his own stunts. He became John Wick in mind and body. This wasn't just acting. It was transformation. When the film released, audiences were stunned. It wasn't just the action. It was the emotion, the pain in his eyes, the quiet fury, the purpose behind every move. Keanu brought depth to a genre that often forgets heart. And suddenly, the world was watching again. John Wick became a cultural phenomenon. A man who had lost everything and yet kept moving forward. No superhero costume, no special powers, just skill, focus, and a burning will. The success didn't stop there. More films followed. John Wick Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Parabellum, and Chapter 4. Each one bigger, bolder, and more intense than the last. The franchise crossed over $1 billion globally. And through it all, Keanu remained himself. Humble, grateful. He would thank the crew, buy them gifts, spend time with the stunt team. He once gifted each stuntman a personalized Rolex watch to say thank you. He never forgot those who helped him rise again. He once said, "I've been very fortunate in my life. I take nothing for granted." That's Keanu. No matter how many people cheer his name, he never lets it reach his head. He walks like a beginner, even when he's the master. The role of John Wick wasn't just a movie comeback. It was symbolic. It showed us that no matter how broken you are, no matter what you've lost, you can rise again. Stronger, sharper, focused. John Wick was Keanu's mirror, a story of grief, honor, and quiet power. And in that story, millions found inspiration. Chapter 6. The Humble Hero. Life Beyond the Camera. This chapter is not about the actor. It's about the human being, the humble hero. While most celebrities live loud, Keanu lives quietly. He doesn't own a giant mansion in Beverly Hills. He doesn't travel in private jets. He has no flashy entourage. You won't find him showing off wealth or craving attention. Instead, you might find him on the subway, standing, offering his seat to a stranger. Yes, Keanu Reeves still rides public transport. There's a famous video of him doing just that. A woman enters the subway, and without hesitation, Keanu stands and gestures for her to take his seat. No cameras, no ego, no expectation, just kindness. But that's not an isolated moment. Keanu is known in Hollywood as one of the nicest, most respectful people in the business. He greets every crew member by name. He shakes hands with janitors. He eats lunch with lighting technicians. He listens more than he speaks. He once stayed behind after filming just to sweep the floor with the crew. And when people ask him why, he says, "We're all human. We're all working. Everyone deserves respect." His generosity is also legendary. He secretly gave away millions of dollars from The Matrix to the costume and special effects teams, saying they deserved it more than he did. When his sister Kim battled leukemia, Keanu put his career on hold for years to take care of her. He bought her a house, paid for her treatment, never spoke about it publicly. Because for Keanu, doing good doesn't need applause. He has also quietly donated to children's hospitals and cancer foundations, without putting his name on any of it. No interviews, no headlines, just action. One story tells it all. A fan once saw Keanu sitting alone in the rain outside a rap party, just sipping coffee. When asked why he was out there alone, he smiled and said, "I just like to be where I can feel the world." Keanu lives in the moment. He doesn't chase trends. He doesn't follow fame. He follows purpose. When asked how he stays so grounded, he replied, "I know what it feels like to lose. I know what it's like to have nothing. So when I have something, I share it." And that, perhaps, is what makes him a true hero. He's not perfect. He's not loud. But he's present, kind, generous, quietly powerful. He shows us that success without humility is hollow. That being famous means nothing if you forget your humanity. That the strongest people often speak the softest. So this chapter is a tribute, not to a movie star, but to a man who walks through life with grace. A man who teaches us that greatness lies not in how you shine, but in how you treat others in the shadows. And in our noisy world, that kind of silent wisdom is rare and beautiful. Chapter 7. The Legacy. What Keanu Reeves taught the world. When we look back on Keanu's life, we don't just see an actor. We see a philosopher in silence, a warrior of kindness, and a gentle rebel in a world often dominated by ego. He showed us that pain doesn't have to destroy us. It can deepen us. Keanu faced more personal loss than most of us can imagine. His father leaving, his best friend River Phoenix dying young, the loss of his unborn child, and the tragic death of his partner Jennifer Syme. Most people would fall apart, but he didn't. He stood up quietly, again and again. He didn't shout his grief. He lived through it with a calm dignity. He taught us that we don't have to be loud to be strong. In an age where many seek attention, Keanu chose simplicity. While others built empires of luxury, he gave away millions, sat with the crew, and remembered the names of the people who rarely get remembered. He taught us that true wealth is not measured in money, but in kindness. His career was never about chasing trends. He picked roles that meant something to him. From Neo in The Matrix to John Wick, he always searched for characters with heart, depth, and struggle, reflecting his own life. And yet, he never let fame control him. He walked the streets like any other man, rode the subway, ate alone in peace, smiled at fans with genuine warmth, never too big to be small. That's what makes his legacy different. Keanu Reeves isn't just loved because of what he did on screen, but because of who he is off-screen. He reminds us that no matter how famous or successful we become, we must never lose the ability to be kind, to be humble, and to be human. And maybe, in the end, that's what the world needs most. Not more stars, but more hearts like Keanu's. So, if we could learn one thing from his story, it's this. Be good to people. Not for applause, not for likes, but because it's the right thing to do. That's how Keanu lived, and that's why his story will be remembered far beyond the silver screen. Thank you for watching this emotional journey. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think, smile, or reflect, then please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this story with someone who needs inspiration today. See you in the next video. Stay kind, stay strong, and remember, being humble is the loudest kind of greatness.